Have you ever noticed how many people seem to gradually fade as they move into their 80s and beyond? It's something that can feel almost sudden. One day they're full of spark, energy, and personality, and the next, it's like something quietly shifted. Even those who were once sharp, vibrant, and incredibly active can begin to slip in ways that are hard to explain. Most of us chalk it up to luck or genetics, assuming it's just a natural part of aging. But the truth is, there's so much more happening beneath the surface. In this video, I want to take you by the hand and walk you through 5 surprising and often overlooked reasons why so many older adults find it harder to stay strong, sharp, and resilient in their later years. These aren't the usual suspects like diet, exercise, or unhealthy habits. These are subtler, more hidden forces, quiet influences that can creep in, even for people who've done everything right. And here's the most empowering part. Once you understand these factors, you'll realize just how much control you still have over your own aging journey. So if you've ever wondered why some people seem to thrive deep into old age while others seem to shrink away, or if you're searching for ways to keep your own spark alive as the years go by, stay with me until the end. One of these insights might just open your eyes, tug at your heart, or shift your entire perspective. But before we dive in, like this video, and if you're new here, subscribe for more insightful content like this, and leave a comment saying, "I subscribed," so I can welcome you personally. Let's dive in, because aging doesn't have to mean fading. Reason number 1, the disappearing little moments. One of the quietest and yet most deeply impactful shifts that often begins after the age of 80 is the slow fading of microsocial engagement. That might sound like a complex term, but what it really refers to is something beautifully simple: the tiny, everyday social moments that once quietly stitched meaning and connection into your life. We're not talking about the big milestones here, not the family reunions or lifelong friendships, though those are certainly treasures. What we're focusing on are the fleeting interactions most people never think twice about, like exchanging a smile with the barista, waving to a neighbor while bringing in the mail, a quick joke with the delivery driver, or a warm thank you to the grocery clerk. These brief exchanges might seem small, even trivial, but they carry quiet power. They stimulate the brain, uplift the spirit, and offer subtle but essential proof that you are still part of the living, breathing world around you. They say, "I see you. You matter." But as mobility becomes more limited, as hearing begins to fade, or as simple outings start to feel like too much effort, those interactions often slip away, barely noticed at first. And when they go, something else starts to vanish too: your spark. I've seen older adults remain mentally sharp and emotionally grounded well into their 80s and 90s, not necessarily because they followed some grand fitness regime or cutting-edge supplement plan, but because they had a rhythm. They walked to the same cafe each morning. They recognized faces, heard their names called, exchanged a few kind words. That consistency wasn't just routine, it was a form of nourishment, a kind of everyday medicine. You see, the brain doesn't require dramatic gestures to feel young and vital. It thrives on small, steady reminders. You belong here. When those signals go quiet, even in the subtlest way, the brain begins to interpret it as isolation, and loneliness, especially the quiet kind, can quietly erode well-being, leading to everything from memory decline to a weakened immune system. But here's the hope. It's never too late to reintroduce those moments. Even one smile, one kind word, one unexpected hello can remind your nervous system, your heart, your whole being, "I'm still here. I still count." And that tiny reminder, it may be more healing than any prescription. Reason number 2, the hidden cost of being too careful. There's a quiet paradox that comes with age, one that often wears the mask of wisdom. We're told over and over again to be careful, to take it easy, to avoid risk. And yes, that advice comes from a place of love and concern. But sometimes being too careful becomes its own kind of danger. It often begins with something small, a slip on a wet sidewalk, a stumble on the stairs. Maybe nothing was broken, just a moment of fear. But that moment lingers. Suddenly you think twice before bending down. You avoid reaching for the top shelf. You hesitate to go for that walk just in case. And the people around you trying to protect you say things like, "Don't overdo it, just rest. Play it safe." But here's the truth we rarely speak out loud. When you start avoiding movement, your body doesn't simply pause, it begins to decline. Muscles shrink, balance fades. Everyday actions, standing up from a chair, reaching for a glass, walking to the mailbox, start to feel harder than they used to. And it's not because you're too old, it's because you're not using what you still have. I remember a gentle soul named Walter. He was 82 and loved his peaceful evening strolls. It was part of his rhythm, his joy. But one evening he had a small slip. No injury, just a scare. The next day, he stayed home. One day turned into a week into a month. And by the time 6 months had passed, his legs had weakened, his balance had waned, and the light in his eyes had dimmed, not from age, but from inaction. You see, the body is like a garden. It needs movement like plants need sunlight, consistent, gentle care to thrive, especially the muscles in your core, the ones that hold you steady and upright. They are your body's anchor. But if you stop tending to them, even for a short time, they begin to wither. This isn't about ignoring pain or pretending you're invincible. It's about staying in motion in whatever way you safely can. Use a cane. Hold onto a railing. Take slower steps if you need to, but take them. Reach for things. Stretch. Move your body. Because when your body moves, your spirit follows. And if any part of this resonated with you, if it made you think of your own journey or someone close to your heart, type number 2 in the comments to let me know you're still with me. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I'd be so grateful if you did. Tap that little bell so we can keep bringing you more gentle, thoughtful content just like this. Reason number 3, how light shapes your sleep and your strength to keep going. Inside every one of us, there's a quiet, powerful clock ticking. You won't hear it, but it's always there, gently guiding your sleep, your energy, your mood, and even how your brain repairs itself at night. As we grow older, especially into our 80s and beyond, this inner clock, your circadian rhythm, becomes more delicate, more easily thrown off course. And one of the biggest culprits? Light. It often happens so gradually, you might not notice it. You start taking more afternoon naps, especially in that warm, drowsy patch of sun on the couch. Maybe stepping outside feels like a hassle when the weather isn't perfect. Then, come evening, the lights stay on a little longer. The TV glows late into the night. A few lamps here, a screen there, it all seems harmless. But slowly your body begins to lose its natural rhythm. You see, your brain depends on light as its cue. Morning sunlight tells your body, wake up. It's time to move, to think, to live. And when evening arrives, the growing darkness gently triggers melatonin, the hormone that invites deep, healing sleep. But when that pattern is disrupted, when you don't get enough bright light during the day and are surrounded by artificial brightness at night, your body starts to lose track of time. You might sleep through the night and still wake up feeling foggy. Your energy dips. You feel a little off, unfocused, low, without really knowing why. And there's something else many people forget. By the time we reach our 80s, our skin becomes less efficient at producing vitamin D from sunlight. That makes exposure to daylight even more essential, not just for sleep, but for bone health, muscle strength, immune support, and emotional well-being. I think of a lovely woman named Helen, 84 years old. She came in feeling perpetually tired, foggy, and just not quite herself. No new medications, no dietary changes, Everything seemed fine on paper. Then her doctor made one gentle suggestion: spend 20 minutes by a sunny window each morning and turn off screens an hour before bed. That was it. 2 weeks later, Helen felt like herself again. Not because of a prescription, not because of some big lifestyle overhaul, but because she reconnected with light. So if you've been spending a little too much time indoors, if your curtains stay closed or the glow of the television keeps you company late into the night, this is your quiet invitation to shift. Open the blinds. Step outside, even just to the porch or the balcony. Let the morning light reach your eyes within an hour of waking, and when evening comes, dim the lights. Let the night arrive gently, without resistance. Because aging isn't only about what the body loses, it's also about what rhythms it forgets, and those rhythms, they can be restored. If you're watching this right now, let this be your reminder. It's not too late, not to feel better, not to sleep deeper, not to feel more you again. You're still here. You're still on time. Let the light in. Reason number 4, the quiet weight of loss and the healing power of expression. By the time we reach our 80s, life has likely handed us losses that run deeper than words can easily express, the kind of losses younger people often can't fully grasp. A beloved partner, a lifelong friend, a sibling, a child, gone. These aren't just memories we carry, they are pieces of us, chapters of our soul. And while the world may offer condolences and kind gestures in the moment, what's often missed is just how silently and how heavily grief lingers. Grief doesn't always look like tears. In fact, for many older adults, it becomes something much quieter, a hidden ache tucked behind a steady voice, a smile that doesn't quite reach the eyes. It's the unspoken belief that by now you should be used to it, or the sense that there's no one left who truly understands what or who you've lost. But here's something essential to remember. The body remembers everything. When grief isn't given space to breathe, when it's not spoken, shared, or gently felt, it doesn't disappear. It settles deep within, tucked into the corners of your chest, your muscles, your breath, and over time, it starts to show itself. Not in loud outbursts, but in more subtle ways. Restless sleep, a tightened stomach, low energy, fading appetite, a constant weariness that doesn't seem to have a cause. I once knew a man named George. He was 86, a quiet, proud soul who had lost his wife of 60 years. He didn't cry much. He said it just wasn't his style. He insisted he was managing. But within a year, George had grown thinner. He'd stopped attending his regular gatherings at the senior center. His spark had dimmed, not because of illness, but because he was quietly carrying a grief that never had a chance to speak. You see, emotional pain doesn't need to be loud to be powerful. In fact, the ones we bury deepest are often the ones that leave the most lasting marks on our immune system, our hormones, our sense of vitality. The body, when burdened with unspoken sorrow, begins to slow. But here's the hope. What gets expressed can be healed. People who continue to thrive into their later years, truly live, not just survive, often share one important trait. They have found ways to let things out. They talk, they write, they pray, they cry, they remember. Whether it's through a trusted friend, a notebook, a spiritual community, or a kind and compassionate therapist, they give their feelings somewhere to go. Because healing doesn't come from holding it together, it comes from letting go. If you've been carrying something heavy, not because you chose to, but because you didn't know where to place it, consider this your gentle invitation. Make space, speak it, write it, whisper it, let yourself feel, even just a little. Not only for your emotional peace, but for your physical well-being. Because your heart can only carry so much before it begins to quietly close off from life. And if you're still watching, still here with me, and this touched a part of your story, Type number 4 in the comments to let me know you're walking this path with us. And if you haven't yet subscribed, please do. Tap the bell so we can keep offering gentle, soulful reflections like this one. You're not alone, and it's not too late to feel lighter, freer, more alive. Let's keep walking this journey together. Reason number 5, the slow disappearance of daily purpose. One of the gentlest yet most powerful forces that keeps a person thriving well into their 80s and beyond isn't a secret diet or a special routine. It's having a reason to wake up in the morning, not a grand calling or a lifelong mission, just daily purpose. The kind of quiet, everyday meaning that gives shape to your hours and rhythm to your days. Daily purpose isn't about chasing big dreams. It lives in the small, often overlooked moments. Watering your plants before the sun gets too high, checking the mailbox even if nothing much arrives, feeding the neighborhood cat who now waits just for you. Maybe it's a morning crossword, a phone call to your sister, or the satisfaction of making your bed just the way you like it. These things might seem small, but they are sacred. They anchor you. They whisper, "You still matter." But here's what can happen, and often does, almost without notice. Over time, these little routines begin to slip away. A neighbor moves, a friend passes, the community group disbands. Your body begins to ache, and soon it just feels easier to stay in. Days begin to lose their shape. Mornings feel slower, evenings blur, and one week folds into the next. The loss is subtle, but real. When there's nothing calling you forward, your energy, appetite, and even your memory can begin to soften and fade. Your body isn't breaking, it's waiting for something to respond to. I once knew a woman named Ruth. She was 87 and used to knit baby blankets for the hospital down the road. When arthritis made it harder to hold the needles, she stopped. At first, she said she felt relieved, less pressure. But within months, something shifted. She grew quieter, her posture curled in. Her days became quieter than usual, not because of illness, but because the gentle hum of purpose had gone silent. You see, the human spirit needs direction, even a simple one, just something to do, someone to help, or a goal, no matter how small, that says, "This day has meaning." That's how we stay alive on the inside. The good news: purpose can always be reawakened. It may not look like it did before. Maybe you no longer cook the family dinners, but you can write down your recipes for the next generation. Maybe you can't walk as far, but you can sit by the window and greet the neighbors with a wave. Even checking in on someone with a phone call can be a gift for both of you. If your days have started to feel flat, this is your gentle reminder. You still have something to give, something to be. Purpose doesn't fade because of age. It fades when we stop feeding it, but it only takes a spark to bring it back. So if this speaks to your experience or reminds you of someone you love, type number 5 in the comments. Let's remind each other that purpose never has to be big. It just has to be yours. And if you haven't yet subscribed, please do. We're building a community here where every story, every moment, every heartbeat still counts. Final thoughts, a gentle reminder of your power. Thank you for being part of this journey. Before we part, I want to leave you with something simple, but deeply important. Most people don't begin to fade after 80 because of one big moment. It's not the fall, not the diagnosis, not the birthday that ends in a 0. It's quieter than that. It's the gradual slipping away of routines, tiny joys, little moments of connection. It's the soft fading of habits that once gave your days color and shape. And it happens so slowly, you may not notice until one day you do. But here's the hopeful part. Just as that fading happens gradually, so can the return. One smile shared, one step outside, one moment of purpose reclaimed. These aren't just nice ideas, they're medicine. And when done again and again, they gently light the way back to yourself. No grand changes required, just small choices that say, I'm still here, I still matter. So looking back at the 5 reasons we explored, the disappearing little moments being too careful, the rhythm of light, the unspoken weight of grief, the loss of daily purpose. Ask yourself, which one surprised you? Which one felt familiar in a way that tugged at your heart? And most importantly, which one are you ready to gently work on starting today? Because here's the truth. You have more power than you think. Not to stop the aging clock, but to age with dignity, with clarity, with presence. If you choose to stay aware of the subtle shifts, to nurture your light, and to honor your rhythms, there's still so much life ahead. Not just time, but living. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below. Share one insight you're taking with you or one small step you'll try tomorrow. Your voice matters here. It inspires others more than you know. If this message touched you, please consider liking, subscribing, and sharing it with someone you love. This community is growing and your presence helps shape it. Until next time, stay connected, stay curious, and above all, stay kind to yourself. We'll see you in the next one.